Returning to jiu-jitsu training after a long break. I got a really interesting question on a previous video, and it really inspired me to want to shoot this because this is something I personally experienced and I know many others have. So my man Dalton asks, dude, I love the way you do your videos. Any tips on coming back from some of those things? I recently went from no kids to 2 kids in a year. My training has gone down significantly. I find that I get nervous to come back after a layoff, and I'm at the point that I want to do jiu-jitsu forever. It's just hard to find the energy or drive to get myself there. Any tips would be appreciated. Thanks for the content, brother. I really appreciate the comment, my man. I know a lot of people go through this one, so we're going to cover exactly that today. Let's jump in. Now, in his case, he had kids, but there are multiple scenarios where this becomes an actual problem for people. That's everything from an injury, like my spine injury that put me on my butt for 3 months. Maybe work picks up for you and you just can't find the time to train, or you're just genuinely losing drive and motivation. Whatever the case may be, this causes you to take a long extended break from your jiu-jitsu training. And to be honest, returning after one of these extended breaks can be nerve-wracking, daunting, and even a little bit scary. Trust me, I get it. I spent 3 months in a recliner while my cervical fusion healed. No training, no exercise, lots of Chinese food and video games. You can imagine by the time I was able to train again, I did not look or perform like the same guy. Whether you're an analytical person or a more intuitive person, any one of these reasons can be enough to make you hesitant on returning. If you were injured, you could be worried about making that injury worse or just getting a completely new injury. Some of us could be experiencing ego-driven reasons why we don't want to return. Maybe we're afraid that a lower belt will actually catch us this time in our weakened state. Or perhaps we're worried that one of our training partners, who we were originally evenly matched with, may have progressed past us during our downtime. I get it. You know you're rusty and you're embarrassed about it. That's totally normal. And lastly, just to put it plainly, you don't feel motivated or driven to get back into training even though you want to and you know you need to. So when I give you guys advice on this channel, I like for it to come from an honest place, a place where I've had experience in. And even though that is anecdotal, being that it's my experience, I know I'm not the only one that's been through this. So if I were you, being someone who's already been there, done that, this is exactly what I would tell you to do. Firstly, and maybe most importantly, I would tell you to put your pride and ego aside. Being the toughest guy in the room should never be your goal. It's always about improving yourself, no matter how good or how bad everyone else is around you. Now, keep in mind, these are your teammates and they're there to help you get better. And while it is okay to compare, to see where you're at in the hierarchy of your school and along with your belt system, they're your teammates. They're not there to crush you. You're not there to crush them. You're there to learn from each other. You crush your opponents on the mats and the tournaments and the fights that you sign up for. I know it's easier said than done, but there's really no reason to hold on to that ego preventing you from getting into training because you're worried a lower belt rank might catch you or the coach is going to see you being a little bit rusty. We all know you had to take a long break. We all understand you're going to be a little bit rusty. We all go through it. Just get your butt back into training. That's what people want. That's what people want to see. They don't care if you're in there crushing everybody. They don't care if you're in there getting tapped by everybody. They just want to see you there. You don't need to worry about that at your jiu-jitsu school. Once you can get your pride or your ego in check, the first thing I tell you would be to start back slow. There's no need to make a return on the heavy competition day or an open mat day that focuses on sparring. One of my all-time favorite quotes is small steps climb mountains. So there's nothing wrong with taking these baby steps that get you back into the training world. Starting back with some beginners or fundamental classes is a great way to initiate that re-entry into training. Plus, these classes are a great way to take an active break from heavy training instead of taking a step back and having a week turn into a month, turn into 3 months off. Plus, I can almost promise you the instructors are going to like seeing more people in the beginners and fundamentals classes, even if you are a blue, purple, or brown. Some of you guys who have senior belts can offer a lot of insight to the newbies, and I know the coaches, especially the ones at my school, love that. The next tip I would say that would be good for you, get it out of your mind that you need to spar right now. Instead, get your feet wet with some drilling. Meet up with a training partner that you trust. Meet up after hours, get some drilling in. Maybe you stay for an extra 10 minutes after class and get some drilling in. Maybe you show up to that beginners or fundamentals class 15, 20 minutes early and get some drilling in with one of your favorite drilling partners. This is a nice and easy, low impact way to sharpen your blade without having to worry about injuries, bruising your ego, or feeling ridiculous while you spar. I'm I'm a big fan of drilling, so if you've taken a long break and you want to get back in and you're not sure how to do it, meet up for some drilling. I promise you it'll help. Now let's say you're someone who doesn't have much of an ego problem. You really want to get back into sparring and you really don't care if you look ridiculous or not. My advice would be to pick an upper belt who you trust. I'll tell you this much, day one after having to sit on my butt for 3 months while my spine healed, I'm not looking to go with the overly aggressive white belt or blue belt. I want to go with the purple, brown, or black belt who knows what they're doing. They're very efficient and technical, and they also know their own strength and power along with the techniques. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You might get a harder butt whooping from an upper belt, but it's going to be a safer butt whooping, and that's what it's all about, especially when you've taken a long break and you're looking to get back into it. Safe butt whoopings is where it's at. Lastly, stop beating yourself up over this. Sometimes long breaks are completely unavoidable. Many of us have to put priority on things like family, work, and even our health to continue effectively and efficiently training jiu-jitsu. And beating yourself up over taking a long break and not having the drive to return is doing no one any good, including yourself. My advice in this situation would be to review footage and start making a list of cool moves that you really want to learn when you get back. Get excited about returning. Maybe you start reviewing footage and you get really excited about learning barambolos or leg locks, or maybe you got a little devil in you and you want to start learning wrist locks. Write it down, review footage, get excited about that, and know that when you come back, you can start working on that. And by doing this, you know that you can begin to work on a version of yourself that was better than your previous self ever was. And once I get that in my mind, I know it's only a matter of time before I get back in and start crushing it again. Remember, by using intelligence and common sense, you can get yourself back to a point where you feel confident and strong and able-bodied, to a point where you actually enjoy jiu-jitsu again and you're not nervous or scared to make a return to the mats. Will it take a few times to shake the rust off? Absolutely. But guess what? We all go through it, and that's not a good enough reason to stay on your butt sitting at home. And remember, when you have to take an extended period of time off from jiu-jitsu, no one at your school is expecting you to come back on the level of an ADCC champion, okay? We need to get that out of our minds ASAP. Trust me, we can be our own worst critics. I'm very guilty of this. I hold myself to a very high standard, and I have to remind myself that I'm not perfect. I don't need to perform perfectly, and I'm gonna make mistakes. And guess what? That's part of the process. Those mistakes help us get better. So when you return from a long break and you're making mistakes, guess what? You're getting better. Jiu-jitsu isn't meant to be performed perfectly at all times. That's not sustainable or even practical. Those mistakes are stepping stones towards getting you to a better version of yourself. So stop shying away from making a return to jiu-jitsu. Start taking those small steps, re-enter intelligently using common sense, and I'm very confident you'll find yourself feeling confident and strong in a matter of no time. And that's the video, guys. I thought that was a really great question from Dalton, and I really appreciated him asking that because I think this is something we all go through from time to time. If you've had to take a long break from your training and then made a return, I know you know what I'm talking about. And if you have done that and feel that you have some wisdom on it, drop some comments down below. Let's leave some advice for the people that read through the comments. I'm trying to build a community where we can all learn from each other. So leave your knowledge in the comments. I do appreciate it, and I know the people who need it appreciate it as well. And stay tuned because I do have more fitness, athlete recipes, and jiu-jitsu content on the way. And in the meantime, you know how we like to end it. Say it with me: eat plants, train hard, and feel good. I'll see you guys in the next one. Yeah, son, that might be the quickest I ever filmed a video. How long was that? If it's like a 2-minute video, I'm gonna be pissed. All right, it's time to go train, and to be honest with you, I don't feel like going, but I've never regretted a training session that I didn't want to do. So with that, I must train. See you in the next one.